What do we mean by practical work in primary school science? Practical work is about children observing. This is more than just looking, it's using all of the senses to notice what's going on. They might be manipulating the materials, testing things out. They need to communicate with each other. They might need to talk or gesture, draw or make notes. We want them to connect their science thinking, to be minds-on as well as hands-on, thinking through the sensory learning experience to try and work out what's happening with the physical objects, things that are in the world like cars or plants or paper, and scientific phenomena, things that are happening around us like plants growing or friction slowing things down, processes such as melting and dissolving. In primary science there are many potential purposes, lots of reasons why we might use practical work. We want the children to be engaged in their learning, so getting their attention and engagement in science learning experiences is the first mechanism, the first thing that we're trying to do. But once we've got that engagement, that interest and curiosity, what are we trying to get out of it? We might be trying to support the children to develop their practices in science, process skills like measuring or observing, understanding the scientific method of plan, do and review, trying out different approaches or types of inquiries. At other times we might want to really focus on the content of science, biology, physics, chemistry, the scientific concepts and ideas, using scientific vocabulary correctly. Sometimes we're trying to focus on the practices or the concepts, but other times we're trying to do both, to support the children through the practical work to apply their scientific vocabulary and concepts but also develop their practices. Like when they're drawing conclusions, but also using the scientific vocabulary. This has both science practices and concepts in action. These are the main reasons we're doing practical work in primary science. The core purpose is to develop that science learning. But sometimes we also want to develop a bigger picture about the nature of science, that science is a discipline, a way of working that's really important for developing us into global citizens. We want primary school children to understand that science is for them, it relates to their life and is something that they can see themselves in as part of their identity. They can be part of science in line with the science capital teaching approach. As primary school teachers, we're also developing children's social skills when they're working in groups for practical activities, or linking their previous learning in literacy or numeracy to apply that in science when they're collecting data or drawing graphs or writing reports, communicating with each other. All of these different things we're trying to achieve across the curriculum. But when we're looking in particular at practical work in primary science, the priority, the core, is to develop science learning of practices or concepts. So how do practical activities work in the classroom? We want to think about what the children are doing, to be hands-on, exploring, getting that sensory engagement, engaging with the world around them. We also want them to connect this to their science thinking, get them cognitively engaged too. Hands-on and minds-on is something that we've talked around for a long time, but these are not separate, it's all part of the same experience that the children are having. We want them to be communicating about this in lots of different ways, so talk and gesture and exploring and embodying that science learning. But what's the teacher doing in all of this? The teacher is the one who's setting this all up in the first place. They're deciding what kits they're getting out, what activities they're doing, where this is taking place, how big the groups are. All of that setting up, deciding on the core purpose, helps in the decision making. What is it we're trying to achieve? Do we want the children to be developing their science concepts and vocabulary, or do we want them to be developing practices of science like measuring and understanding how to do an investigation? Or do we want to be trying to do a bit of both of these things? The teacher's role is really important in connecting these ideas together, supporting the children to think about the hands-on that they're doing and linking that science ideas and previous learning. Teachers might also introduce some new vocabulary or some new science concepts using practical work. All the way through the lesson, we're considering constantly adapting the lesson to make it more effective for the children. We consider what support's needed, scaffolding the learning, explaining again. For others, we might be considering how to challenge, giving them a different context or question to explore. By adapting the learning through responsive teaching, we make the practical work in primary science more effective for supporting science learning.